In this video, we're going to be showing you how to install a steam humidifier on your central HVAC system. We're starting from scratch here. We're going to get power to it, get water to it, drain it, and show you everything step by step. So let's get right into it. All right, so this is our central HVAC system for our home. This is the return air. So this is pulling air through our air filter here and pulling it into the furnace and blowing it out of the supply plenum here. Now, what we're going to do is find a suitable location for our Aprilaire steam humidifier. Okay, so we have our clearances here. So we need 16 inches to the right of the unit, 4 inches to the left from anything, 16 inches to the bottom, and then 16 inches from this to where we're at a minimum of 16 inches there. So that gives you an idea of what locations might work for your particular application. So this is our new Aprilaire steam humidifier. I just wanted to show you kind of the innards of it here. So just one screw that holds it in place. And this is what creates the steam inside of here. Our steam tube will come out there and our drain will go here. Now, we found that the most suitable location for our particular home here is probably going to be on this side here. So we might have to relocate that for our tankless water heater, but I think that's going to be the best location, and we can go directly up into our supply plenum there. So we just have 1, 2, 3, 4 mounting holes. So we're just going to go ahead and mount this again with a minimum of 16 inches of clearance, and we're going to drain into our condensate pump here. And you do have to slide this up and out just to get to these bottom screws there. So you can see that. And then there's a little seal. So this just drops back in and slides in just like that. All right, so this is mounted. So next step is to mount our steam wand. So this is my Alexa app, and this is a real lifesaver. This device right here tells you a lot more information than just humidity. It shows you what the overall air quality is. So right now our air quality is good. So in the dashboard, we then have temperature, humidity, particulate matter, carbon monoxide, and VOCs. So what we're looking at right now is humidity. We're right at 33, which is exactly what the Ecobee said. So they were on track with each other, but an optimal humidity level is going to be about 45%. That's going to do multiple things. It's going to help when it comes to allergies or dry skin. It's going to help with the air actually feeling warmer in the house. But I'll leave a link for this particular item in the video description because it plays a critical role in making sure that your air quality in your home is good. Now, with that in mind, you can also do some other things, such as upgrading to a 5-inch filter. Filter Buy is a great place where you can pick up air filters, get them sent directly to your door. These particular ones seal off really nice with this filter rack, and these are a 6-month filter, so you don't have to replace them very often at all, and it just takes the guesswork out of replacing your air filter. Highly recommend that company. I'll make sure and leave a link for those filters in the video description as well. So we are on to putting our dispensing tube in, and there's a thing right here that says up. So we want this to be traveling in an upward motion like that. And it said you want to keep it away from big bends. So we'll probably do it like a little bit further up in this supply plenum so it has plenty of room to emit that steam. So we're just going to attach this black hose from the top here over and up into the side of our plenum. All right, so we've attached our black steam hose to the top inlet here and put our clamp on. And I just kind of wanted to see where this is going to go. So I'm thinking it's going to go back here, as far back that way as possible. It's going to mount like this. So we'll put the hole probably about, maybe a little bit lower, about right here, so that once it travels up, that's where our actual unit will be. And then our hose will simply travel probably back behind these hoses here and then up into it, and we'll cut it to length and attach it. So for now, let's get a step bit. So we're going to cut our hole, and then we can open it up with a pair of shears just to make sure it's a little bit bigger than this opening. All right, guys, so we got our step bit here. We're just going to punch our hole a little bit lower on this duct. All right, we got a hole. See if this will fit. Oh, beautiful. All right, so that is mounted. Everything is secure. So we're just gonna kind of route this. It's a little bit stiff, but we're just gonna route it behind there and then up to there. And we'll put our clamp on and that will be finished. All right, there we have it, folks. So we have our tube running and it's secured to the outlet port there, that little manifold with holes in it, and it's attached here. So the supply part of this is completely done. Let's now move on to our drain. All right, so we've got our clear pipe plumbed down to our condensate pump. We temporarily removed the mini splits since we only use that in the summer months. And later on, we're gonna plumb this over and tee into this since we have actually 4 items that are draining into this condensate pump. So yeah, this was very easy. We just put a clamp on. This was pretty stiff, but once you kind of spin it, you can maneuver it to where it'll drain properly. And that part's super easy. So next, let's move on to our water supply and we'll see how we're gonna be able to tie into this PEX. So that's where our water line is going to attach to. And there's a note that was attached saying plumb to cold water only. For whatever reason, they don't want you tying into hot water because it uses that water to cool off this water that it's draining. All right, so this is what the kit comes with. This is called a saddle valve. And basically what it does is you attach this to a copper pipe with this little rubber thing seated in between. And when you tighten it down and you tighten this, it punctures the pipe. So you don't even have to turn the water off. I have rarely seen these leak, but these are definitely made for copper pipe. They're not made for PEX. You can Google it and they'll say you can use it, but it's not recommended. So what I ended up doing is I got this. So this is a 3/4 by 3/4 by half PEX pipe. So we're gonna cut into our 3/4 pipe downstairs, put this in place, and then right there, we're gonna put a little piece of PEX, 1/2 inch, and then we'll have our 1/4 inch valve. So that will eliminate those potential leaks. And FYI, this kit does not come with water line for whatever reason. So I just picked up this 1/4 inch OD water line. It's up to 140 PSI. So plenty sufficient for our little water line there. And then as far as our electrical, what we're gonna do is put in this 14 gauge pigtail. So this is gonna plug into an outlet. And then there at the unit, we got these little fittings here that will just go into that 1/2 inch opening punch out that will knock out. And then it'll secure this so it doesn't have any movement. All right, so we pre-built our little valve here and it's basically just gonna go in place of this coupler. So we're gonna eliminate that guy and put this in its place. So for starters, we're gonna shut off the water for the whole house, drain as much water off, and then we'll cut this and put in our coupler. Now these PEX rings you'll notice are the crimp ones. The tool you'll notice is a lot smaller, and I really like this design over the one that you have the big jaws on it. I think it's a lot easier to use. So we're gonna orient these the way we want them. And then on the other side, there's a little blue light. And as soon as we get this tightened, you'll see that light up. Right there. That tells you that it's fully ready to go. Easy as that. And that's it. Okay, so our valve is closed and we should be good to turn our water back on. All right, so we got some Teflon tape right there. Got our hose and the nut and the ferrule. So we're just gonna slip that over the 1/4 inch line, slip it in, and just snug this up. You don't have to get it super tight, otherwise it will probably leak. So we'll try it right there and see if that'll do the trick. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing down here. So we're gonna put the nut on as well as our ferrule. And we have just a little bit of Teflon tape on the fitting on the humidifier itself. So we're gonna slide this on. Make sure that this hose is butted all the way up. Then fasten the ferrule. And then we'll start cranking down this nut. Okay, so next we need to get to the electrical. So we're gonna take off this service panel, it's just 2 screws, one on top, one on bottom. And that's going to access our main line voltage, which is gonna go up here. Now this is critical. If you have 240 volts, this is pre-wired for 240. I'm gonna be running this in 110 volt application. So we're just gonna use line 1, that's our main black wire. Neutral will be in the middle. It says line 2/N, and then ground will be right there on the top. Now the only adjustment we need to make as far as the voltage is this little jumper wire right here. So right now it was all the way to the right on 240 volts. We're gonna move it all the way to the left to 120 volts, and that's all we have to do. Okay, so these are the 2 knockouts that we have here. There's also 2 or 1 on the bottom that you could use as well, but we're going to use this guy right here. So all we're going to do is take a flat blade screwdriver and just hit that maybe with a hammer, and it should knock right out. On second thought, I'm going to just use this taper bit right here, and I'm going to use this to catch any metal debris that comes down. There it goes. All right, that should work perfectly. So let's put our connector in there and then our wire. All right, perfect. And we've cut our wire to length, so we're just gonna feed that inside there. Perfect, it's nice and snug. It's not gonna go anywhere. And now we can make our connections inside. So our black line 1 will go on the bottom here. Neutral is going to go in the middle. And lastly, our ground. All right, so the last thing we need to do is mount our humidistat, and it needs to go on the return plenum, and it needs to go at least 6 inches upstream from the humidifier. So our humidifier is way over here, so we're going to put it right here on our return plenum, maybe up there actually. So what we'll do is just kind of eyeball where this goes, and then we're going to use a taper bit to get exactly that size, and then we'll mount this right up there. And we'll just use a couple of self-tappers to mount that. All right, so we have this mounted, and our outdoor temperature sensor goes right here on the ODT, these 2 terminals. Now it wants you to run this outside, but alternatively it says on the intake, fresh air intake, if you have a high efficiency furnace, you can actually mount it right here. So we drilled a little hole, and we're just gonna zip tie this guy right here, and that will efficiently give us our outdoor air temperature. This has to be within 3 feet of the exterior, so we're meeting that threshold. So we're just gonna throw a zip screw in, and that'll be complete. Okay, so next we need to run these wires from the humidistat to the HVAC control, so our control board on our furnace. We need to run 24 volts from the HVAC equipment, so R and C need to go to the furnace. Our heat signal, which is W, from the furnace, and our fan signal from the HVAC equipment, which is going to be the G terminal. We've got some thermostat wires. Let's hook it up to this first, and then we'll run it down to the furnace. Okay, so the last 2 wires we needed to connect are these 2 humidistat wires. They do not matter on the polarity from what I can tell. So we just have these running from that up here to the humidistat. Both are labeled H, these 2 wires here. So we have this green wire that goes to our fan control on the furnace. So this goes directly to the control board on the furnace. This green wire is wire nutted to the one that goes up to the thermostat. This wire goes to the W terminal on the furnace. So both the thermostat wire and this wire connect at the furnace to the W terminal. And then C connects down at the furnace to C on the board, and R to R at the board. All right, so our furnace just turned on, and I believe our fan just came on. This is a completely variable speed system, but we've already noticed that the humidistat now says 40%. This will probably continue to drop until it gets to about 33%, which is basically what the thermostat was saying before. But at any rate, the furnace is running, so our power is on. As soon as we turn the humidistat on, we'll probably see this fill come on, which will indicate that the canister is filling, and then it'll show steam, and then when it's draining. So we're gonna go ahead and bump this up. Okay, so once you turn it up to a certain degree, this says humidifier is on. Now we see our fill light comes on and we are producing steam. So everything is working like it should. So we're gonna come back tomorrow after this has ran all night and see what the humidity level is here and how everything is working. All right, guys, today is the day after we installed our humidifier, and I am really impressed with this. So it said in the instructions not to run this in blower activation mode, but I've talked to several people and they said even with your outdoor temperature probe in the fresh air intake, you can totally still run it with blower activation on. So right now the furnace is not calling for heat. It is up to temperature, but the fan is still running and it's putting out a lot of steam. This is really hot. And it's not hot enough to burn anything, but you can definitely tell it's generating steam. We're generating steam as shown right here. And as you can see, we're all the way up to 43% already. So this is almost right where we want it to be. And we can just adjust this accordingly, and it will get it to whatever percentage you want. They say about 45% is perfect. 50% and above, apparently you'll start to grow mold spores, so you don't want it above 50%. 45% is actually, I think, the max that this will do for that particular reason, but that's still gonna raise us 10% above where we were, and I think that's gonna make a big difference in how warm the home feels and dry skin, allergies, things of that nature. It's gonna help out tremendously with that. And we've also checked our indoor air quality monitor as well as the Ecobee, and they both show that it's 42%. So this is very accurate, showing the same humidity level. So overall, guys, this was a very easy install. It was not very complicated at all. I was a little stressed about putting this in, but it actually turned out that it was quite easy, and I think we're gonna be really happy with the end result. So another huge air quality upgrade that we did was this 5-inch filter rack, and I highly recommend doing this if you have the space for it. I need to secure that so it doesn't get in our way here. But if you're curious to watch a video to see how we installed this 5-inch Honeywell filter rack, you can find that video right here. And until next time, you guys be safe. Later.